Bo 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 bo. Boo 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 boo. Boo boo boo. Boo 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 boo. Boop boop. Boo boo boo. Boo boop. Doo ba doop boop. Boop boop. Boo ba doop boop. Beep beep. Boo ba doop boop. Boo ba doop. Oh my God, it is one of those times again. It is not the day nor the time to be doing this. But we're doing this. Hello? I figured it was time to get back into this. I wanted to do something that I had an idea on. I felt inspired to do it. So therefore, behold my idea. Alright, now that you've managed to put that together, I basically am wanting to work on a logo today. And this logo is going to go with the Kickstarter that we're going to be running at some point in the future. The collection, as we've mentioned in the other videos, is geared toward fairy tales. Enchanted Forest, things like that. And we're kind of looking to get that persona that if parents especially have kids that they want to get involved in gaming, but they may be a little hesitant on their age. And I do agree on that. There's a certain age that it might be a little too young, but you can still simplify role-playing games and put it to a child level without any problems. But the content needs to be inviting and child-friendly, of course. And so fairy tales are the easiest avenue to go down. So we're going to build these models that I've been working on for several months now. And the Enchanted Forest Collection is the simple name for the group of models that will be available for the Kickstarter. But I want to make some kind of a fancy little logo for it, because I think that would be cool. So I just sketched this down just a few minutes ago and took a snapshot, uploaded it, put it on here. And I'm going to try tonight to work on making, I've got a couple of rejects, but generally speaking, this is going to be the E, and then Enchanted, I don't have to write the N again. I know it's misspelled, but there's no need to rewrite it once you've got the letter that you want. And then some kind of a word here, and then a collection on the bottom. So it's going to look like this. I pretty much want it to look like it's been carved into wood and painted. So it'll, and actually I'll probably even 3D print it and paint it up. So that's a possibility. But for now, it's just going to be for logos and things like that. So we'll see how it goes. But we're going to get started right here on this letter E, because it's going to be probably the most complicated one. And although it's going to be in 3D, I want it to have some clarity to it. So we're going to use a lot of splines tonight. Splines are the opposite of primitives or solid objects. You've got your typical solid object in perspective mode, which are three-dimensional shapes. Okay, splines are essentially just flat lines that you can go in and draw, but it has no depth, no dimension to it. It's just if you go look at it from the top view, it's just another line. If you look at it from the side view, it's just a line, outline. There's nothing through that. And the nice thing about splines is that you can custom make objects that are very complicated very easily and then extrude them. But the downside is if you go in and make a real complicated object like this, you're going to only be able to really just kind of extrude this thing outward. but then you've got kind of a boxy formation that you'd have to work on curving this up if you wanted to, depending on what the object is, obviously. But for lettering, splines are actually ideal, and to my knowledge, it's about the only way. We can box model this thing to our heart's content, and we may end up doing that. And we're going to try spline first, and then if that doesn't pan out, we're going to switch over to box modeling. So we're going to go to the start with a create tab, or the create tab, the whatever tab this is. Yeah, it is create. Ha ha ha. And then instead of geometry, we're going to shapes, which is the second button over. And we just want lines. That's all we want. For default, splines, when you draw, are not going to be renderable. They will be invisible if you click render. They will have no thickness, but you can make them thick, and you can make them renderable. It's under this first tab that's hidden. By default, these two are unchecked, and there's all that you have to worry about. Enable render, which literally means if you click that and you hit render, your splines will be visible. Enable in viewport means if you click that, you can actually see them in the viewport. You can already see them in the viewport, but what this does, when you click on that, it gains thickness. And by that means, you look down here and there's a thickness. You can actually increase the thickness of the spline. Okay? So that's the way to go in and make a line and make it actually have some substance to it. Well, again, by default, I turn that off. Now, one thing I do adjust when I'm working with splines to begin with is I go down to interpolation? The next one. And again, it's usually minimized by default. Just bring it down. You see the word steps. This is really misleading, in my opinion, and should be renamed. Essentially, what that does is it is a smoothing mechanism, a smoothing feature, so that when you are making a curve with a spline, this will smooth out that curve as much as you want. And if you don't see it, here's the tricky part. Let's say that we do an arc, which is right here. You basically just drag it, your line, and then pull back after letting go of the mouse, and then you left click again, you make your arc. Now right now you can actually see, if you look closely, there are lines. It's not smooth by any means. It's got vertices, and if you would go in here and convert it, right click and convert to edit spline, and then drop down to vertices, you'll see there's just 4 vertices, but that you've got these clear elbows right here, even though there's no vertices. Well, that's part of this step here. And even with an editable spline, if you change this from 6 to 12, watch very closely. You see how it got smoother? I'm going to change it back here. Change it to 3, and that way you can really see it. And then I'm going to change it to 20. See the difference? It smooths that out. And it'll really haunt you if you've got, let's say, steps of 6, which is what you default as. And let's say that we want to create a spline and join these two together so that this is all one piece. It's welder vertices. We've done this in the past. I'm doing this just an example. So we've got a closed shape here. Now I'm going to just extrude this out, and I'm going to zoom in. Look what that does. See what happened? Now all of a sudden you've got a polygon, an actual physical model, a shape, primitive, whatever you want to call it, and it's got ridges on it. And that is because, and I mean, you can go in here and put million segments, but it just goes that way. It doesn't go this. It does not smooth it out. But if you go back to edit spline, and I go to 32, now all of a sudden it makes a whole bunch more, and it's a much smoother. So those are essentially 2 things that I really look at when I'm using splines. Mainly that step, and I crank it up as high as I need to. If it's not going to be something that's in a, hindering my scene, my rendering, then I'm just going to crank it up to like 32, and that's more than enough. You can make this step 60 for all I care. It doesn't matter at that point. There's a certain time where you start losing the value of it all. Now, one other thing that splines do, especially with line, is that when you left click and you just click, 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 I'm just clicking around when I want to make a point and then click back. If I click and it used to, they've fixed that now. Used to be where if you click and drag, you can turn it into a curve. But they finally got rid of that because that was a really annoying thing. So right now, all you can do is make straight lines this way. To make a curve is, you use the arc. But if you make a line like this, and you convert it by right-clicking, going to convert to editable spline, and then go to vertex, you can grab a vertice here, right-click it, and change it from corner, which is what it is now. It's a elbow, it's a corner, to a Bezier corner. And then you get these two green dots that appear. Well, these are handles. And some of you Illustrator gurus or Corel Draw gurus, you'll recognize these. Or even Photoshop's got the pen tool, which, God, it's awful to use in that, but people do use it. And if you grab and pull, you see the yellow handle that appears, and you can do that for this one too, and suddenly make yourself some kind of a curve, depending on how much. Now, you see how the number of steps really come into play when you make that curve there. So that's why I mean, we can put 40, and that makes it nice and smooth. Now it's what's called a Bezier curve. It's a nice little French curve that you can use. That is what we're going to be focusing on tonight. Now that the tutorial is over, the game's in session, let's begin. The interesting part of making curves with this letter here is that I am going to basically make, I've worked with curves enough, I know how to make a straight line knowing where that curve needs to be. In other words, I know that there's a curve here that I'm going to make, but I'm not making a curve, making a straight line that I will bend later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click a point here, and then about right there, I'm going to click another point, knowing that I'm going to make these two Bezier points and bend that to the curve later on. And actually, I'll put backspace, and that deletes the last button because I actually want it right here, because I'm going to go around the clock here. And I'm just, one of the things that you need to worry about Bezier, and when you're actually dealing with this stuff, less is more. You do not want to overdo your dots here. As you're making your lines, as you're making your Bezier curve, the fewer the lines to make your curve, the better, the smoother your curve is going to be. You don't want to have a billion lines here, or else you'll start making that rigid look that we showed just a second ago. So we try to just get as few as possible. And right now we're just going to continue on. And nice thing is about these, you can add more dots, more vertices as you go to the same line. So there's no need to worry if you're not making enough dots. You can always increase the number. Now, this obviously doesn't look anything like what we're trying to achieve, but we're about to convert it all. Right-click with the thing selected. Go down to Convert again, choose Convert Editable Spline. It'll be at the top there. Now that we've got it a spline here where we can grab vertices, and just FYI, I believe you didn't have to actually convert this spline. Let's see if, oops. I don't think you actually needed to do it, because convert to editable spline does the same thing. So yeah, once you draw the line, let's see here. Oh, I guess you're right. So you can make if you're just drawing a line, you don't have to convert it like I just told you to convert it because that it is an edible spline to begin with. What I just did comes in handy is when you either uh, are making, let's say, a circle. That makes a circle, and you can't do anything to it. There's no vertices or anything to it. Then you can right-click, go to Convert Spline, and then it becomes a true editable spline, and then you can go in there and start moving stuff around. So if you're doing anything else other than just making a line, then you go ahead and do as I mentioned and convert it to an editable spline. So having said that, we're going to go and select every one of these. I want to make sure they're all selected. I'm going to convert them all by right-clicking. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to Bezier corner these. I don't want Bezier, I want Bezier corner. Why? Because Bezier, this one, makes no sharp turns. In other words, every vertice that you see in front of you, all those red dots, must be a nice smooth curve. And if you notice on my E, there's a lot of sharp points at the end that have like 90-degree turns to it. So I want to have Bezier corner, which does the same thing as Bezier, but then it gives me the option of making a sharp angled curve. Case in point, now look at all these bad boys. They're all green everywhere. Don't let this intimidate you. There's a lot of green dots, but you just start at one end, go around until you're done. It's very, very simple, especially if you have a line like this where you just trace it. So what we're going to start off with first is, we can grab all these because it doesn't really matter. I'm going to take this first green handle, and I'm just going to pull it right on up. And the other one, I'm going to pull it right on up, and then just move it around until I get exactly where I want it. About right there. Move on to the next one, bring it on up. Bring this on up. Bring this on up. I may change this actually to this one is going to change to a Bezier. And the reason is because it doesn't need a sharp angled corner. I need it to be actually nice and curved because it's the back of the E. Right here, I need it to be sharp because it's a 90-degree turn. It's a real sharp curve. This one, I need a sharp curve. But this one, I don't necessarily do. I just need it to be nice and even. And one other thing, you can right-click. They used to have it. Yeah, sometimes you got to convert and then convert back, but I want the handles to be the same. So when I pull them back and pull them forward, they're the same length. Why? Because that keeps this curve the same. If this one's a little shorter and this one's a little longer, the degree of this curve may be not what I want. So I just go in here and do what I want there. Same thing for this. I want this to be a Bezier, not a Bezier curve or a corner. And then I use this one. See how I can independently move one handle and not the other? It makes all the difference in the world. It allows you to make that curve. Another Bezier. It's like that. See how it's nice and round now? One more. Just kind of generally follow the line. And then instead of, when I've got this line here, instead of moving this, which trying to get this thing to set up, because it'll ruin this curve here. So go on to the next one, the one that you've got a Bezier corner, and make that come out. Because it can move anything on this side, but it won't move anything on this side because it just is dealing with this segment right there. Okay? Same thing goes for here. You just start off with this, change this to a Bezier, get it within the ballpark, but then when you get extra stuff like this, come back to this one and adjust it generally how you want it. Again, don't be precise. When you draw concept work like this, and you end up trying to get it like perfect on the line. I'm getting it pretty close, but I'm not getting it perfect by any means. Don't let concept artwork get the best of you, um, because it has its own world in it, and there's just not. Concept artwork is there to stimulate the idea and give a focus, but it's not an absolute. Concept artwork is never an absolute. If anybody tells you otherwise, they're either a concept artist and they're butthurt about their drawing and they need to get a life, or you've got a bad company that just insists that the concept work is life and wants you to get it exactly like the drawings. That's silly. That's not that hinders your imagination and your creativity as well, because you're the one making the actual 3D work. They're making the concept. They're getting you the vision, then you bring in the execution of the whole concept of that concept drawing. But don't let the concept drive all your creativity out the door so that all you have is what they force you to do, because that's not right. That's not a company to work for. You need to have your independence. You need to be able to have your creativity and your creative license to a certain extent, because that's what they hired you for, not to just do monkey see, monkey do. That's silly. You're never going to get to be a good artist if you do that. All right. I'm going to save this real quick. I'm going to call this Enchanted Forest Collection. Yeah, just call it Enchanted. Yeah, call it a Forest Collection, because I think I've got something else called Enchanted Forest. All right, so I've got that E, and I got it for, I mean, it actually followed it pretty well, because, yeah, there's a little bit of a mess up there, but I like the curve a little bit better here. This is not quite smooth, so we're going to try to click smooth there and see if that works a little bit better. Try smoothing this one too. Oh, no, that doesn't look good. And yeah, those are not equal, but I think for now that's okay. One of the things I want to do is cut this hole out. So what you can do is make sure you have your spline selected. Go back to create. And then go back to all these creatable things. And basically what you can do is uncheck the option above it where it says start new shape. That would have naturally automatically made a new object. As you drew a spline or a circle or whatever you wanted to do, it would automatically make a new separate object. Unchecking this, what that does is whatever you want to make here, it will be a part of this spline that you have selected. Okay? Case in point, I want a new line, and I want to start it right here, and I just want to go down here and then back to there to close the spline. So yeah, it doesn't look like it has anything, but I'm going to bulge it out here in a second. But when I go to editable spline or move it, see how it goes with it? It's a part of it. And I can go in there and drop down the spline, and it acts independently. I can actually pull it out of the E if I wanted to. Same goes for segment. It acts independently. It does not act like the main piece, but it acts as one entity. So when you extrude it, it takes into consideration there's technically a hole in your spline when you extrude it, and it automatically makes that hole. I go to Bezier curve, and we're going to see what we can do here. I'm just going to basically pull this out and then go to Bezier, and then just do this. That's good enough. So check this out. And this is what I love about splines when you're wanting to poke holes in things. If you can, I always do splines if I need to poke holes. This is superior to boolean. Feel free to argue with me, and I will go to the town with you on this, because there is no way that pro boolean in its uncertainty, and sometimes it doesn't even work. This works every single time. Now, when you click extrude, check it out. See how there's a nice hole in there now? And it's clean as a whistle. There is no imperfections. I could cut that hole 1,000 times in Boolean and it might look that good, it might not. And what's even better, unlike Boolean, get that out of there so you can see this cleaner. If I wanted to, I can turn off extrude, go back to my edit spline, go back to F. Like right here, I can see that this is definitely not looking circular. Matter of fact, I'm going to draw a separate object, circle, and I'm going to use it as reference to get my main drag looking good. I'm going to bring this out like about there, about right there, and then about right there, and then about right there. Yep. 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 And then I'm going to take this bad boy and I'm going to crank him out to there. And then do the same thing to that because, quite honestly, I think it needs to do that. I like the hand-drawn look, but the hand-drawn look is not good. So we're going to make it look nice. Nice and clean. Nice and clean. Like that. Alright, so now when I go back and I just turn on extrude, bang, like that. Already ready to go. It updated itself, no errors, no problems, no nothing. The only thing that you got to worry about with splines when it comes to making 3D physical models like this is that when you are in spline mode here, you have got to make sure every one of those splines are connected, are welded. If you have two vertices that are on top of each other that you can't see, they're separate, but they're standing on the same space. When you extrude it, instead of getting a solid object like you just saw, what you will see is this. I'm going to break that piece. So now I've got actually two pieces. Okay? Actually, man, that actually looked pretty good. I may, hold on. Stand by. Oops. Stand by. Got ourselves an idea. I kind of like that look. It looks like a leaf or something. And I kind of like it. Let's weld these two babies together. And then I'm going to go in here. Oops. I'm not going to do that. And then I'm going to do that. I'll hold this for a second. Can't do as much talking when I am thinking here. I got an idea. I'm going to not create a line. I'm going to add spline there. Change this one and this one to Bezier corners. That goes there. You see what I'm doing? You see the vein? see if that looks any good, if it looks like crap. We're sticking with it. Who cares? Alright. So, as I was about to say before I was rudely interrupted by a thought. Let's say that we're going to break this one. Okay? So now we got two pieces separate, blah, 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 blah. So it is not a complete object. Now, check this out. This is what happens when you do not have a solid spline. When the spline is not connected, you will have this effect. So keep in mind, and don't even worry about this little piece here, because that's actually solid too. That's actually closed. But this outline, if you see this, where your spline, when you extrude it, is outlined like this, you know without a doubt there are two options. One is that you have two vertices that are not welded together that are on top of each other. Double check, triple check if you have to, quadruple if you have to. Just go over every single one, drag select over every single vertice, and look in your panel on the right over here, and it will tell you whether you have two vertices right here or not. See, I got two vertices selected. When you see that, just go over here to weld, and you're done. And you got it solid. Go over every one. The other option, the other possibility, it may not be a vertice. It may be a segment. Case in point, if I wanted to go in here and I push shift and I drag that up and I hit my snap tool and I snap it to a Slim Jim, and then I go back here and then I go to extrude, that worked. But you see how crazy that looks right there? It's because there's an extra piece on top of each other, but you can't see it. You can drag select over that, and you can see that there's two segments selected. Things like that. Okay. So there we go. That's an E, and I'm happy with that. So we're going to save that, and that'll be what we do. All right. So now that is done, the next thing I want to do, because we can kind of fudge this from now on, we move it to one side here, and I want to get this cut out inside and up here, and it's going to be kind of tough to do that with that here. I may want to actually remove, you know what, I'm going to remove this piece here, and, well, instead of removing the piece, I should just do what I was trying to do earlier. So you do this, you bring it up a little bit, and then what you can do here is I want to add a vertice on these splines here, these segments. And to do that, you just have to go select your segment that you want. You can select as many as you want. You select one if you want. And then over here on the right, there's a divide button. And what that will do is that'll put a vertice right on the middle of your spline that you have selected. And if you have multiple splines, it'll do it to all of them. See how it did that? Now I got two splines there. And basically all I'm wanting to do here is, I did not want to weld the vertice, but that's fine, is I'm going to make it look like it is a representation of the piece that I've got on the outside. Something like this. So it follows that piece there. Now alternatively, you can actually go in here and click spline and use what's called the outline right here. And you can actually increase it or decrease it, and it'll come in somewhat good. Usually it doesn't work very great, but you can theoretically do that and then update it as you see fit. But it comes in basically as a parallel Something complicated like this, it's just easy just to make your own. And besides, I want it to look a certain way, so we're doing it that way. We're doing it live. Now that I already made that circle, that perfect circle there, I want to. Can I scale this bad boy? No. Nope. Grab all those. Scale this down just a tad bit and move it over. Like that. I wanted to kind of look like a crescent moon, but like a cutesy one. And then with this selected, I'm going to uncheck the new shape again. And I'm going to just make an arc. I can show you how to make an arc here. You just select the arc button, place the point, place and drag where the point of the arc is going to, and place a line and stop it and let go when you want the other side of the arc to be. The length of the arc, not the actual arc itself. And then once you do that, then you just let go of your mouse button and then just pull back. And then go to town. And then if you want to do it again, you can use your snap tool, snap it to a Slim Jim. And then just come in here like that. And now you got. Now notice it didn't make a new, it made a new piece. And that's fine. It's not that big a deal. We can always add stuff to each other by clicking your main one, going down to your edit spline, going to attach right up here, right next to create line, and then just click it, and the icon will turn to a circle with two circles next to it, a little arrow showing it's two splines combined. But we're going to have to weld those vertices. The spline here and the spline here, I just snapped them. I didn't attach them. So we need to weld these two together. And now we test it out by turning on extrude. Hit the F3 button so we can see it. Now, if you see some crappiness like this, some stupidity in the arc like that, and right there, see that? First thing that you're going to check is the making sure that, first of all, turn off your extrude because that's not part of it. In this view, or in this mode, you are going to see if this inner shape is on the perfectly same plane as the main piece. And by perfectly saying, I'm looking through the front. This is the front view right here. I want to go from the side. Push L for left view and push Z. Now, this looks like it's perfectly straight to me. It looks like it's absolutely perfect. But you see what happens when I turn to the spline mode? Womp womp. Check out, what is this? It is my slice. What is this? It is my E. Everything else is on the same plane, but because and the reason why it did this is because it did not create this piece attached to my E. It made it as a new piece, and when it does that, it automatically will snap it to the 0 axis, which you can see is right here. This is your 0, 0 origin. This is your 0 on the Y, right there, that dark black line. It's by default going to do that. Now, simple way to do this, because you can't even have this 0.001 millimeter off. It has to be spot on, bear's knees, right on the money, exact. And very easy to do it is this is already at 0. Go up here to right. You see how Y is at 0? Doesn't matter what these numbers are, but Y is at a 0. It's a -0, but doesn't matter. 0, 0. Select the other piece. Matter of fact, you want to select all of that. But if you select multiple splines, this goes gray. And you can't do anything with it. It does not like to move multiple splines like you can with multiple solids. So just select one at a time. It's very simple. Then right-click to zero out your Y, and that goes to your Y-axis. Same thing for this. Click one of them, click right to zero it out, click the other one, right click your white to zero out. Everything is now on the 0, absolutely perfect, and now you got rid of that craziness that was there. Okay, so that's a telltale sign to look out for. To make sure that you have a clean spline when you're about to extrude. So yeah, there you go. I'm not really a fan of this like thickness because it's not really supposed to be that thick. All right, we need to beautify this thing just a tad bit. I don't know why it's not letting me. Let's do something. Do I have connection? Stand by. Is it properties? Advanced. Yes. And I want it to not do target camera mode. I want to do object mode, I believe. Yeah, that's what I want. At least I think it is. Whoa! Whoa! No. It's acting retarded. I mean, didn't mean that. Just saying it as acting silly. Should have said that. Alright, 1 second. 1 second! I'm using a Space Pilot mouse, which is a joystick. I've talked about this in previous videos, and I'm wanting to. I don't want to lock horizon, and then all that's good, and then camera mode. Is that it? Holy crap! It is not wanting to. Oh, murmur. Oh, mama. Sorry about that. Hopefully no one's lost their lunch. What I'm trying to do is get it so that it will hover around. Right now it's not letting me go around an object, and that's really disheartening because it's not even locked up yet. Oh man, I hate doing this while I'm streaming, but saying there's no one around, I'm just going to go ahead and continue doing this real quick. Skip ahead if you'd like to, it's fine. Do I want to lock the horizontal? There, that may be it. You select item. I think this is it. Nope. Are you kidding me? It was working just fine just a second ago. Why did it not? I don't even need that. I should not stop selecting that. Alright, what about that? Well, that seems to work. But everything's turned opposite. Oh, it's reversed. That's why. Everything is literally reversed. That's why it's jacked up. Alright. Is there a way to flip? Aha! Reverse. Reverse, 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 reverse. Ah! I have thwarted. I don't know why it did that. That's really kind of crazy. Thank you, 3D Connection. You've done well tonight. Yeah, that's smooth. I can control that a little bit better now. Alright. Sorry for that. Just skip ahead. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is kind of an inset. I really wanted to put more of that, though. Let's do that. I wanted to be kind of a dominating piece there instead of just a little sissy piece here. So let's just get rid of this altogether. And oh, it was because the extrude was probably turned on. That's probably why it made a new object. You've got to have extrude turned off, and then you can turn this shape on or off rather, and then it should work a lot better now. There. Yeah, it's one piece now. Nope. I've never done this before. I'm kind of curious if that's right. You have to do it. I was going to try to pop these things out, and so that I'd have the same curve. But in order to do that, you have to go in like through something like that. Pull it over with a shift. Bring it in. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Yeah, that sucks. Let me just go back to what I was doing. I just didn't get the right arc. Well, I guess I could try to do this. Where instead of you taking all of that, I just took some of it. I just took this piece, made a copy of it, bring it back to the general area, expand it, scale it just a tad bit so that it still has the same roundness. And then you can go in here and clone, copy, not instance copy. And now you got two on top of each other, but it doesn't, for crying out loud. But it doesn't have, yeah, the other one's right behind it. So then you go in here and kind of scale this thing up a little bit. Oh, the copy, I would copied it as an independent. What the crap did? Oh, it literally made two. That's not what I wanted to do, but that's fine. I should have not done that. Let's back up here. Make sure that we don't have two copies. We just want one. And what you do in this case, then just hold down Shift, drag over, or you can alternatively do the smarter way and just hold down Shift and scale it up, and it'll do the same thing. That's what I was actually trying to do. And then from here, I scaled it up too much. Nope, this one. That's what I was looking for. I don't want that one. Wheel. Now I want to join these two in holy matrimony. These two. Bring this back in a little bit to make that a little thicker. Actually, that's not the one. I'm going to take the outside one so that it is the same one. Hold down Shift, bring it on in, and something like that. Now, I've got these two bad boys. And what you can do, you can select both of these things. First of all, I want to trim this excess piece here, this little overlap. So you can actually go over here to trim. And it's an old AutoCAD feature that you can actually use a line to cut out. You just trim the excess edges. And it has to have some kind of a line that the line crosses over as a cutter. So as you have this line going this way, and you have this cutter in the middle, then you can cut anything on this side or anything on this side, and this line will be the sever point. Same thing for right here. You see how this is crossing over here? This is your cutter, and this is where I cut it. Okay? It's an old AutoCAD feature. Let's see. I'm just going to move it up like that. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to Spline because that's the only feature that can do this trim thing. And I'm going to, well, it does not like to do that. Alright, well in that case, because I want to keep it that same thickness, so we're going to divide. Oh my goodness, is this, kind of vertex is this? Because every time I'm trying to... Oh, it's got a smooth to it. Let's see if that does it. It had smooth as an option, so that the only option it would wanted to do was to keep that curve smooth. So it would bump and buckle on itself, trying to keep it its best to keep it smooth. This now does nothing. That works, so that all stays. And all you got to do is change it to a Bezier. Weld these. I used to think there was a weld here as an option to right click, but apparently there is not. There might be on one of the hidden menus, but I just go to weld right here and you're done. What did it do? Maybe bring this in just a tad bit. Bring that up. Still matches, and then bring this in just to kind of round that off a little bit. I really don't like this gap here, but I think it'll do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. And then, do I want a little piece right here? I kind of want to bring this down just a tad bit. And bring it out. And really what it needs to be doing is doing something like that. And then you bring it on like that. And then has, but it has kind of an angle to it, so it's got to go that way. And that works. So we're going to go back here, add another. I'm just going to make a line this time. It won't be that big a deal. And I just went over the line and back so that I can go later in and use the Bezier curves. It doesn't really matter which, but just make sure that you select both of these, because there's two of them right there. And, well, actually, no, there would be just one, because there's just one vertex on either side. There's two segments between the two. But convert them to a Bezier corner, because you want to have a sharp edge like that. And then just try your best to follow along. Oops, that's not the right one. And if you have two handles on top of each other, move one out of the way and then get the other one. And then bring the other one down, bring the other one down. Something like that. Yes! That's what we want. I smell victory in my future. Alright. Oh, there's too many holes, you can't read it. Shut up. I know what I'm doing. Alright. Next thing you want to do is make the backdrop. And that's pretty simple. We will do that later, but for now, just to show you what it looks like, you can just go like that. That's not that very good. I'll do what it was really going to look like. I am basically going in here and very roughly making a whole long line that is on the behind the thickness, as you can see with me doing this here. Why am I doing this? It's because behind this I want to fill in this gap. And see what I'm doing now? You can see that I push F3. Something like that. Only thing I don't want to do is have these two things overlapping each other, because it's going to be technically a solid. So now I can go in here on the back side, and there's one more piece that's overlapping right there. I don't want it to overlap. And then you just basically, you can hit extrude if you want, but then it's the same thickness, but then you can just shrink the thickness down to, say, there. And now you can go in here and make it a nice, lovely green. And this, a nice brown. so that you've got your pattern there. This is only the beginning, but it's awesome. We're going to save this. Alright, so that basically is the start of things. And then from here, we get to add the fun stuff. And by that means, I'm going to make some splines that are droopity droop, croopity croop, little grapevines. So we're going to isolate this again, break your lines, and then I'm going to just come in here and follow this here line. Now, here's the thing. After I snapped onto these two, if I snap anywhere else with snap off, it will automatically move this to the 0. And if you recall, this was drawn on the 0, but I have since extruded it. And right now I'm drawing, I snapped those things to the front, this side, the extruded end, the extruded side of the object. So I am whatever the distance is from 0 that I extruded, let's say 5 millimeters, then I just snapped those 2 points to the 5 millimeter point. And if I make another mark anywhere out here, it is by default going to mark me back to 0. Why? Because that's what it does. It doesn't know where to put the thing, so it automatically will put it as to 0. It defaults to that. But that's okay. We can just move it. Not that big of a deal. So I'm just going to go in here and make a mark. Make a mark. Make a mark. Keep going. I'm just gonna start doing these. It looks like I'm gonna be making thorns, but I'm not. I'm just gonna turn these into curly cues. There. Now I want to see. I'll check this out. See if I select one of them that's 0, 0. Matter of fact, look at it looks fine, but yeah, it's not. So the easiest way is to grab these and go to 0. That's what I should have done in the first place. And now we just F3 this thing so we can see it through it. And then go to you've already got it on spline, and you got it on vertex. Turn it to, Bezier corners fine, and then we'll turn things to Bezier when we need them. You see how I can only move it that way, and I can't move it vertically? It's because you have to actually click these anchor points, and it locks in the direction. So if you just want to go this way, you just click the X. If you just want to go vertically, see how it doesn't want to go anywhere else other than there. To click both, you just click that once, and then that gives you the free form to do whatever you want. And I'm just going to get this within, eyeball it. I'm not too worried right now, because it'll be thicker when I'm done with it. Actually, I don't think any of these need to be corners. I think they all be Beziers, because it's just going to be it's a grapevine, so it's going to be super fun, and there we go. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Do. Do-do-do. Well, see, you gotta click the Y and the X, or it doesn't work. Let's smooth that one out. Ah, adios. Here. Now, I don't like how it goes zigzag right there. I want it to go like that. I want to bring it in. Bring it in a little, she said. And I said, okay, I bring it in. And she says, oh, no, too much. Bring it out. And I said, okay, I go bring it out. And then she says, oh, it's too late. You're just incompetent. You don't know what you're doing. And I'm like, well, I am a blacksmith, and you're trying to make me do cobbling. She's like, well, you're a piece of crap. And I was like, well, you married me, so you're stuck with me. Forever. And then she's like, who says? And you're like, well, you can't leave me. She says, I can leave you. Or I won't. Could leave you, go to the bar. Maybe come back. Maybe I don't. There we go. Now, remember earlier when I told you guys how to turn things on? There you go. Turn things on. So now I got myself a little bit of a nice little yin-yang thing. Doesn't really look like what I wanted it though. Doesn't remind me of what I was hoping for. Like that. And it's because it's too close together after doing all that. So we're going to work on this. Work on that. Ooh-wee. What's up with that? What's up with that? I said, ooh-wee. What up with this? What up with that? What up with that? Now, alternatively, this is not something I like to do very often, but I can do it. It is available, especially if you're really good at what you're doing. The one thing that, when you're making curls like this, curly cues, and you really don't, you're struggling with the Beziers and you're trying to get them all doing that, there is an alternative. Thank goodness. Go into your crate, and instead of the splines under shapes, under splines, click it and go to NURBS curves. And the one you'll want is point curve. And what that does is you place the points and it automatically makes the curve. Nice and smooth, without any problems. Watch and learn. Okay. And nice thing is, we go through like 80, I think, for this. No, I don't think that really matters then. There was something that did make, there it is. Yeah. So instead of having threshold, it's the steps down here. It's interpolation, but it's way down the bottom for, this is called NURBS. NURBS. Don't ask me what it stood for. Back in the day, I could do it. It was something like numerical something, randomless buttons, something. It stands for something, but it basically makes a curve, but it does it mathematically and gives you a nice algorithmic type of curve depending on it where you put the points. Yeah, someone's already probably said, no, that's not how it is, but it's close enough. And basically, it's nice because you move the points and it makes the curve for you. And you can go in here and I believe you can go in here to here and create curve point and actually put one right there, put one right there, put one right there. You can do stuff like that. It's pretty neat. And then you can go in here and, well, I don't know why it is doing that. Curve point. Create point. Okay. That's not what I wanted. Because they're all the same. Back. Okay. Create point. Right? Create point. I don't know if that worked. I think that's independent. Yeah, it did. Create offset point. Create curve point. Create curve point. Create CV curve. Create point curve. Is this do it? No. Does that do it? Maybe. No. I don't use curves or nerves much anymore, and some people do it for certain things, and that's great. If you use it, well done. I don't, because there's certain points about it that are awesome, some of them are not. Can I just delete it? Yeah, I can just delete it. Okay. Alright, so I just wanted to get this a little rounder. But the two are kind of messing up my style. Kind of messing up my game plan. Kind of messing up everything. Can you scale it? You betcha you can scale it. It just doesn't look like vines to me. It looks like someone doesn't know what he's doing is what it looks like. You're just stumbling around in the dark. You don't even know what you're doing. Yeah. I said, ooh, wee. What's up with that? What's up with that? Ooh, wee. What's up with that? What's up with those? What's up with that? What's up with that? Alright. Now, let's turn this on, make it thick. Nope. So, once I get that done, I'm going to convert it to an editable mesh. And it makes it like that. Now, here's the downside. You can't change the thickness to this thing. It is set for whatever you set it as. So if you go in here and let's say you make this thing 5 and then convert it to edit mesh, it's thicky. It looks pretty. But if you convert it like 2.5 and then edit mesh, it's not bad. So we're going to get rid of that crap, which brings us out of isolation mode. And just hit F for front and kind of get a general idea about this. The problem with edit mesh is that now you've got 4 billion polys, or, well, yeah, you do. And you've got to use soft select from here on out just to edit the thing. And I mean, that's kind of nice, but it just depends on what you want out of it. I personally like to convert it once it's to edit mesh to edit poly. Why? Because you get different choices. So I'm going to do this, and I want to get it to where I've got, where's my soft select? Where's my soft select? There it is. And let me just delete all that. Delete all that. Alright, so now it's out of sight, out of mind. And then what we can do is, I kind of want to get this brought inside a little bit. Well, goodness gracious. Something like that. And then, gonna keep bringing this in, yeah. And then something like that. But it's too far off to one side. I kind of want it to bring it in a little bit because it's going to drape down. Plus, it's too big. So let's first of all scale this thing down just a tad bit. And what we really want to do is pull this bad boy to the other side because we're going to wrap this around because I said so. Actually, we're not. It's just going to look like we're going to wrap it, but we're not. We're going to put another piece on the other side and get rid of all that crap. I'm just going to wrap it around to the other side later. But for now, we're going to pretty much call this one good. There. Yay. Alright. So I was saying that I'm going to wrap it around. That's what I'm pretty much going to do. We used 2.5 from the last one, so we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to put it in there and make a curve. And we should do it with that, and I may go back and redo that because it really needs a lot more, like a pumpkin type of ordeal. We're going to convert this. First of all, actually, I want to change this so that we are on the front side. So we got to do this in perspective view. And basically what I want is to pull this out just a tad bit and bring these points in so it's on the other side. Some of this stuff, I'm not printing it off, so I don't have to worry about it. So we're good to go. Convert to editable mesh. That does not look the same thickness, but it's alright. So now when we hold it, it looks like there's a little bit more. Yeah, we're going to redo that because that looked like absolute garbage. Point, 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 point. There we go. Point, point. There we go, Nippa and Chippa. A little bit better. A little more better, as my good buddy Hank would say. A little more better. All right. Let's move these just a bit before we convert these. Let's move these out a little bit so that they're not quite as flat. And this really is going to be just for the rendering purposes. It won't be for anything else. That if there's any shadows cast or anything like that, it'll look pretty slick. Alright, let's convert it now. I'll convert it to poly. And there's a little bit more dimension so you can see all the overlapping lines now. And that's what we were kind of looking for. So now we've got a little bit of a, you know, if we go in here and add a custom color. Something like that. It's getting there. And the nice thing is, with the poly, if I want to make it thicker, we use a shell modifier. And that way we can make it as thick. Now, it ain't going to go any thinner. It's not going to go any thinner, so you may want to go thickener or something like that. It just depends. But you have that option at least to change it a little bit. Alright. And we're going to continue on here. Another thing is I want to continue this little piece here. We're going to go back to here. And this time we're going to start from there. I don't like that. Try again. And then you're seeing that I'm making a lot of points. That's different than a Bezier, because now I'm wanting to control it tremendously more in the roundness of the Bezier, of this NURBS. NURBS works differently, and as a result, you've got to work a little bit more. And I do this just for a little bit more control over it. Why are these things continuously not keeping the same thickness? That's not the thickness that I wanted it. It resets it back to 1. Oh my goodness, that's definitely, now I got to figure out what thickness this thing was, because I want to kind of keep it consistent. Is it 1? Was it 1? I guess it is. Alright, so it's still 1. Just doesn't seem like it is. And we are going to have to bring this point back in considerably into the E, so that when we convert it, it's hidden. Kind of like that. But I want to bring it out a little bit. And we may shrink this down just a tad. Bring it all the way up. It comes out of that little point. And I am going to make this a little thinner than that. Let's do 0.5. Because it is at the end. Yeah, something like that. Okay. And then squish this together so that it has more of a I can get it right. Want it to be more like that. And then we can just rotate this thing. Rotate this back. Or can we? Yeah, we can technically, yeah. Like that. Move back up. Curve back in. And then instead of it being out like that, we can bring it back up like that. And bring it more of a curve. Something like that. Seems like it needs to be longer. So we will. And shoot, if it's going to go that way, might as well pull this thing up and make it go that way. There's a little bit of a little, there we go. That's it. You did it. You crazy animal, you did it. Yes. It looks like a worm. The more that you eat, the lesser you are. A foolish young man started eating some pork. He started eating some greens. Alright. Yeah, so we just do that a couple more times, and then this E will be pretty much done. I wanted to make these little dots here, and I haven't decided if they're going to be... I think we're going to make them spheres, and just put them, you know, right there, and just make them... I'm not really sure if they're going to look good or not, but we're going to try it. We're going to try. And we're definitely going to need to get these smaller, as that probably is the size, yeah. Thought about also making them even smaller. Like that. And then just go like that. Yeah, that may be a better one. Because now they kind of... And you could make them like berries. And you can also shrink these down so they're one less smaller than the other one. Something like that. So now that you got just a little more decoration, I'll save this as a new file because I'm just about to do something crazy, man. It's crazy. What you doing there? What are you doing? I am taking the edge and Can I not loop this? You piece of junk. Fine. I will do this. Because I just want the front. And then I am going to chamfer. And it does not look good at all. May even crash it, that's why I saved it. The computer does not like it. And it's coming in with these weird pieces here. It may not work. It doesn't look like it wants to work. It's a complicated device. And that's one thing that I've had problems with chamfering lately, is that it's giving me a lot more problems than it should. And that's a shame too, because I really want to bevel those edges. The other option is to actually bevel and see if we can't go local normal. Oh crap, there's some seriously stupid stuff going on here. I'm not really sure why, unless let's select everything and let's flip Philadelphia. Acts like there's is there like two edges here or something? It is not like me in general right now. No, it's one edge. So bummer. Let's see. All I want to do is just bevel the edge. Just like chamfer it one time, and not even that much to begin with. It's not liking it. Because if I extrude it, it's not even wanting to extrude. These things are going all over the place. What the crap is going on here? Make sure that everything's welded, even though I know it is. It's 33, yeah. Get rid of the back side, so that maybe I can just. Well, that worked. Maybe it did work now. Let me see if just deleting that was all that mattered. Yep. Kinda. That is not giving me much. Because of stuff like that. It's just those pieces right there. And then that piece. I could theoretically clean all that up. That would be kind of a pain to do, but the rest of them, I could theoretically clean them up. I just got the cuts too close to the edge, and so the polygons are going kind of nuts at the moment. They don't really like this because they're trying to attach this vertice to something, and they're putting it to some crazy section. Let me just see if I can't go back to what I was originally trying to do, which was chamfer, without the computer just saying, no, they're all going to laugh at you. I said they're all gonna laugh at you. Well, I can try one more thing. Just delete them all, and then go with a border and try to cap it. But then you got problems with that. You can't cap that. And no, you cannot select multiple edges inside and cap it. It just doesn't work that way. So it doesn't work either. Well, crapola. Only other thing I can think of, and that's what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to bevel the back side of it. And basically, you go in here and you see about doing this. Let's see. And we're going to just leave it like that. The problem is I'm going to have to duplicate that later on with the F in the forest. So I don't know if we'll just delete that backside and extrude it back out or what. I saved it as a separate file, so it should be okay. But yeah, there you go. There's an E. I'll do the same thing real quick on these and call it good for the night. Same thing for this. I'm going to try to... we'll just, now that we know what we're doing, we'll just make it one piece. Alright. And then this goes to the front. This goes all the back there, but that's fine. And then I want to not have, let's see, this all goes in front. Not that though. And it goes like that. And then we, let's see, this goes behind. So this goes backwards. And then this goes in front. How do I know? I'm just making it up as I go. I'm alternating just for fun. This goes up here in the front. And then deselect all this stuff. And I'll bring it back, then bring it front. So it has some weird dimension to it. Something like that. It's fine. Do the same thing. We need to bring this thing so that it is in front, but the rest of this stuff needs to be in back. Same for that. It's just, my goodness. It needs to go back there too. This needs to go back there too. Nothing on here works smooth. Something like that. Well, now it doesn't look like it's rounded. It looks like it's all squared off. We can't have that. It's got to look like it's rounded. So we're just going to bring this right on up. Right on over there. And there we go. There we go. It looks all pretty now. Convert. Convert. Good enough. And then we may be able to cheat. Let's see. Cheat? Me? Never. Oh, I need to unhide all. And let's see, we were wanting to go from about this point right here. And that means all this crap's got to go. Go, go, go. Well, I guess we could, nah. I guess I could have left it. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. I could have used this. Let's see. And turn on soft select. And come out like that. No, don't want that. Alright. And again, it doesn't matter what's on the back, because we're going to be taking the shot from the front. Oh yeah. Once I put the leaves on there, it's going to be dynamite. I had some moss here, and that was going to be kind of covering it. I don't know if I really want moss on there. I think the pumpkin patch vines or whatever, wine vines, I think that'd be just fine. I may even put a pumpkin in that circle, or gem, or something, because so I've got all kinds of ideas. You just keep it all as the fairy tale type of look. We will bring in like little furry creatures. Let's see. Because I want to make. I'm actually gonna have to wrap this up. I'm getting kind of tired. I'm thinking about making some critters, a couple of I don't know, butterflies, squirrels, a rabbit, something like that, that can sit on this the wording. I think it will really add to what I'm driving home here. Um, you know, put them like right there, or on one of the letters, have them hanging, some of them hanging on that. For a butterfly, they're pretty simple. Again, I would recommend just using NURBS or spline, something like that, just to get the wings. Like this. and then change my anchor point to as far to the right as I can of this object so that I can have it symmetrical. I don't want it quite there. I always hate doing this because it sometimes they're kind of good enough, close enough. That way I can make a mirror and make a copy, and I got a little bit of a semi-symmetrical thing there. But instead of doing that, I want to make it an instance because I'm going to be making some adjustments here. Where's my red? Nope. Oh, it's this one that's okay. The one that's instance is the one on the right. Okay, that's fine. Just bring this out a little bit. Do the same thing for here. And I'm just gonna leave those in there, but these come in just a tad bit. All right, and then oh, I can't use NURBS. I forgot about that because you're gonna have to convert those. That's great. I really want them to be splines, and I don't think there's a way to actually create. I don't think you can actually convert them to splines at all. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the bummer way. You have to convert it to a mesh. That's about the only thing you can do with it. But since we got the lines and we know what we're doing, you can actually go back and do splines. And it's going to take a little longer than I wanted to. We'll finish with this. We will finish with this. I'm just going to make a couple of generic points, convert it to a spline. Even though I didn't need to, sometimes I'm kind of in a habit of turning things into spline that really don't need to be turned into splines. Alright, and then turn off my snap, and then I'm just taking Beziers and getting it fairly close. Good enough. Alright, so now that I've got that set up, I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Group these together. Center the object anchor point so I have it in the middle. And I'm going to do the same thing for this. I want to get this one to be in the middle. Oh, for crying out loud. Come on. Some unorthodox way of doing it. Okay, because it's treating this as the object, not as a group. For me wanting to anchor, I want it to anchor to the center point of both of them. So we're just going to convert them real quick and attach. Now it'll treat it as one entity rather than two separate objects, because I want at least it should. There. And then now when I do the flip, it does it. Alright, and since these are instanced, I don't need to anymore, I'm going to not instance these, but flip them without a clone on Y, bring them on down. And actually I should have, I am going to mirror this one as an instance on the X, because I am going to make this a little different. I want it to look, it's on this one, good grief. Actually, I probably want to just delete these. You can just go there to delete them, and it'll just get rid of them. And that way you have just what you have. It'll automatically keep the segments together, and it'll just delete whatever you didn't want. All right, now that I've got that, I can make that kill the instance so that they're all independent now. I can attach these by this attach button right here, and I want to get all three of these attached, and we're going to combine them and then create. Can I just let's see if I can actually just combine these. Not bind. Not fillet. Connect. Not connect. Fuse. Nope. No, there was one. Oh, for crying out loud. It's been so long since I've done that one. And it combines the two. It may be just doing this. Nope, not on fuse. Does it bind? Nope. Not weld. I don't want to bring them together. I want to just create a line. I mean, I just create a line. It can do that, but there was another button that it just automatically makes it, so you don't have to sit here and make sure you get it on the money. Not the end of the world, but, and I should have probably done this before I made him independent, but that's alright. Take all these, weld them. Alright, we're getting there. And then we just need a cylinder. In this case, we're just going to basically make just make a cylinder where it is. Boom, 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 boom. Actually, yeah, just make a cylinder. Who cares? Just a butterfly, right? Just a butterfly. How could you say to Mr. Peeps? How could you say that? He's not just a butterfly. He's more than that. He's a family. He's a part of our family now. We've got a name for him. We call him Mr. Peeps. Can't believe you said that. He's not a... Who cares? That's a jerk move. I hate you. I hate you guys. You guys suck. I need one. I need one right here. I need a segment right here. I need a segment right there. And then I need to curve this thing off. So I really only need 1, 2. But we're just going to keep all 5. That's fine. That's good. Actually, I am glad I did that, because I kind of want more than that. I should have done that. That's okay. We go to edge, and we can just make ourselves connect. And that way, we've got our next little edge there, and then we just basically go. What does he look like, boys and girls? Let's see. Let's see here. Get him a little bit on the chunky side. He's eating a couple of Doritos in his days. He's not too bad. He's doing all right. He's working out, flying around where he can. He's kind of half dragonfly. That's fine. He doesn't look good at all. He looks stupid. I don't like him. Why is he so fat? Why can't he lose some weight? I don't like his head at all. His head's stupid. They make it different. No, I don't like it that way either. Bring it in. There we go. Have you ever seen a butterfly before? Obviously not, because your butterflies are crap. You're not even using reference. You're just making it off the top of your head. Shut up. Doing whatever I can. Make my butterflies how I want. I make my butterflies cool. Are they cool? No! Shut up, didn't ask your opinion anyway. Yes, you did. You just asked. I wasn't asking you, I was asking someone else. Oh. Well, who then? I was asking this moth that came by. He seemed like a pretty cool fly. I said fly. I'm talking about insects. Why am I spending so much time on a butterfly when it's going to be tiny? Well, Timmy, it's like this. Sometimes you're just not going to be smart, and you're just going to make stupid decisions. And you got to live with those decisions on a daily basis, sometimes for the rest of your life. And those are the toughest times. Because you're asking yourself, why did I do that? For instance, why don't I have symmetry on right now so that these wings are the same? Well, because I believe in snowflakes. Oh yeah, that's where it's supposed to go. That's where it's supposed to be. Bang. Pretty butterfly. Extrude. Not that much. Not 5 millimeters. My goodness. We don't want it to be that. I want it to be thin and sexy. And I need it to not be flat like that. Let's move it off to one side, shall we? And at this point, I'm going to take just the right side. And I'm going to detach just for a second. Chill. Just detach it for a second. You'll see why. Bang. That's why. You like that? You like that? Bang. That's why. That's why. He's got his butterfly wings on. He's not too bad at all. He looks not bad at all. And now we're going to put him, like, right there. He's eating the E. He is way, way too big. So what do we do with big animals? We decimate them. And then we rotate him. So he's at, like, cool angle, man. I like that. I've got a butterfly on my E. Also, one thing before I go, I must show you something. The T in Enchanted will be the sword from the little mimic dice tower that I'm working on right now. It'll be this. Bring it in there, and the T is done. It'll be fantastic. You'll have it. So you'll be basically ENCHAN sword. I mean, basically, we're going to go in there and put some text in there and call it good. And like, max text. We don't want the T. And do I have a bunch of aerials? Of course I do. Those. Have anything? I mean, we're not going to be using these, but yeah. For now, we will do this. Where's the size of this? Hello? There it is. It's gigantic. And then we basically just do this because this is awesome. And then we're going to go like that. Go to copy. And then go to ED. And it's going to be like that. Oh, I love it. I love it. Boop, ba-doop, ba-doo. Add color. And then, I don't know, like a gray, I guess. It didn't look good. That looks terrible. Terrible. Oh, it's because it's I guess my colors are wrong or something. I've got that set up where like at 7 o'clock my computer turns to that blue or something, or maybe I don't. Maybe my colors are just wrong because that looks really, really awful. I thought that was a gray, but I guess it is. It's just kind of looks like a subdued gray. It doesn't matter. What matters is the night is over, and I am done with this for now, and we will work on this later, but this is just the start of it. And then, of course, just a show, I'm just going to, go to Nerves or something like that, and then make something fancy feast type of, real and then make it look like it's a carving of a sign, a wooden sign or something like that. It'll be wonderful. But yeah, delightful, enchanting, enchanted forest. And go down here and spell out forest Gump, but it's just gonna be O-R-S-T. But maybe, oh yeah, so we just put it down there like that, and then make it like dominating, double dominating, and then put an F there. F. But it'll be all fancy feast. Do I got any fancies? No, man, it has like copies and copies of the same font over and over again. It's not even. These are getting kind of fancy. It's kind of fancy, but not really. I've got tons of copy fonts that are all the same. Ooh, this one is lovely. So, yeah. You go in here and, forest. Enchanted Forest. And then, the last thing you do is you have to say what type of, some fancy collection. So it's like collection. But it's going to be in caps. Collection. And you put that there. Oh, howdy, partner. But you don't want to do that. You want it to be just like, I don't know, that. And then you put your, like, kerning on. Like that. So it's, like, ridiculous. And then shrink your lettering. And then bring it all together. And then learn how to spell. I was right. Don't talk yourself out of it. You actually spelled it correctly. And then just scale it some more. I don't know. I don't think it's like, maybe that's too much kerning. I don't know. We'll work on that later. But yeah, there we go. That's pretty slick and slidey, and we'll keep working on that. But for now, I will save this as a new file, a nude file. It is saved. And then we're going to work on something later on next time. We're going to try to finish off the Mimic Tower. Just have a little bit more left to it, really, and then we're done. So it might take one more session, maybe take two at most, but probably one more if I can push it. And then we are going to work on maybe finishing this, and then one thing I realized I hadn't touched in a long time is the face tree that I wanted to, the kind of the master of the forest type of look. You take a tree and he's an oak tree and he has a face. The usual mustache, eyebrow. Oh, yeah. Oh, I saw that in the game once. I know. Where'd you get that idea? Well, guess what? It's been there for a lot longer than that video game lasted. So I'm totally right about doing it. And in Enchanted Forest Collection, it definitely needs to be in there. Some mystical name that can tell the kids to go and help it to, go off and kill some undead zombies or something so that the forest can live. I don't know. So, yeah. We will do that later, but for now, I am going to say that it has been wonderful to do this with you tonight. I have enjoyed every minute of it. I I always hate to leave. I miss you all so tenderly. Whenever, da, dum, 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 dum. Until the next time we meet again, this is your old pal Stinky Whistletea, wishing you pleasant dreams tonight. I shall see you again soon. Soon, I mean, uh, maybe in a few days, I don't know. But until then, goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.